I love you so much. A love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure.
The studio system is broken. We've known this for years, but of course we are still seeing the remakes, the sequels, the reimaginings, the threequels. The franchise is booming, and it seems that we are never going to escape this unless, like, you know, there's an indie sort of wave that comes and saves us, because for the most part we're just going to see the same actors recycled over and over on the big screen. It's kind of depressing, but still there's a lot of great stuff out there that you definitely should check out. But one in particular that gets me excited nonetheless, and one that I'm very curious to see, is going to be, no, not that one, but we'll talk about that one pretty soon because it's a doozy one to get into. But I am excited to hear that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film will be directed by Curry Barker, A24 behind it, a studio that I think is an amazing distributor. I think that they produce some good films sometimes, but I am still on the fence about it. But still, what really gets me motivated with this one is that we have Curry Barker directing, we have Roy Lee behind it, and you know, there's a lot of good things in this one as well that really should make you feel like, I think we're going to get something good here. And I mean, it's no secret to anybody that a lot of these horror franchises, from Friday the 13th to Halloween to Child's Play, throw in Leprechaun in there, throw in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not that hard to make a good movie, I think, because most of the time the sequels and the movies that follow the original don't really live up to the hype, and a lot of them are a little bit more like, what were we even doing here? So I think that somebody like Curry Barker here, who has proven with Milk and Cereal, which you can find on YouTube right now, the upcoming Obsession, which I implore you to check out. I've watched it twice. I'm probably going to watch it one more time once it releases. I think it's going to be probably top 3 best horror films of 2026, and truly, I think a turning point when it comes to horror films in the 2020s, leading into the 2030s now. Kind of crazy to say that. It was just like COVID like 5 years ago. But nonetheless, let's get into what we know about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film and why you definitely should be excited besides what I already told you. So do I think that there will ever be a film that comes close to doing what Tobe Hooper did back in 1974 with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Probably not. And I mean, that was a film that also had its own share of, they really did all that. I mean, if you've seen some of the stuff the actors had to say at the time of shooting, with the blistering heat of Texas, with also not really having the best work conditions on set, and also Leatherface just not really being able to remove a lot of the costume and all of that. It was definitely not the most pleasant set to be on, and I think from the look of the film, you pretty much can realize that that's pretty much what they were dealing with as well all day. But still, they pretty much caught lightning in a bottle with that one. And over 50 years later, it continues to be something that many people regard as a classic, a true staple of the horror genre, a turning point when it comes to film and what's being showcased to mainstream audiences, and truly gave us one of the original, if not the original, final girl with Sally. 50 years on, and we've gotten a couple of sequels, a pretty good reboot in my opinion from 2003, and some reimaginings here and there. I know people weren't really fond of 2022, and I think it had some pretty good moments, but now we are getting back into seeing what can be done again with this franchise that's just never going to be put down, I think, in my opinion. I think in 100 years, they're still going to be doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I am curious what Curry Barker does here, because I think he's an interesting director for this one, because from his films, I don't really get a sense of brutality here, although I will say that there are moments in his films, from what I've seen from Milk and Cereal and Obsession, where he can tap into that and showcase that, yeah, he can get pretty gruesome with it, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But I'm very excited about the dread, because I think all of his films have a feeling of dread, and I think that's been missing in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, because up until the first one, and only the first one, do I ever have a sense of an impending doom on its way, where I think the other ones are more interested in the guts and the glory and the gruesomeness of it, right? Which I already said, Curry Barker has that nailed down, I think, in what he showcased. I haven't seen it as much though, but I think with these next film, I think we'll definitely see that. But it is that impending doom, the fear of the unknown, the sort of way that he plays with his camera, with the sound design, everything, that I think is really going to nail this feeling of this reimagining that he says is going to have heart. So when speaking, Curry Barker had this to say: I love the original. I think that one is really raw and was really good for its time, and I actually think the 2003 remake is actually quite good too, but it could also be from, there's a nostalgia there. He goes on to say, a lot of people are excited about the reboot, but a lot of people are like, put this thing to bed. It's all been done. I beg to differ. Seriously, I really think that the potential for that series has not been fully realized. I actually feel like a lot of remakes went the opposite direction that it should have gone. I'm really excited to do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's not just about a guy chasing some people around with a chainsaw, that has some heart to it. You care about these characters and want to see them survive, and it's brutal. So that's what he had to say recently, and you know, that gets me more excited about it, and seeing the potential that Barker has with Obsession is just definitely what makes me so intrigued of what he's going to do with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot, reimagining. You know, they like to throw those words out there, buzzwords. So, of course, this is going to be different from the JT Molnar and also Glenn Powell produced TV show, and I'm curious how those two worlds will collide if they even do. But for the most part, I can tell you that Curry Barker behind this is definitely the right choice. It made a lot of sense. He has a lot of buzz with him right now. He just wrapped production on the Aaron Paul horror film that he's doing as well. So there's definitely a lot of momentum going, and I think once Obsession does release this coming month, a lot of people are going to see the vision, and I think that this could definitely be a pretty big break, especially for A24, going and leaning more towards higher production and bigger blockbusters. That's their main goal, they've said, for the past 5 years, to be more in line with a Warner Brothers Focus Features type vibe. And, you know, we'll see what happens. So very excited for this news. I cannot wait. That's just my opinion on it. I think it's going to be a real heavy hitter. And I think once Obsession releases, that's when people are going to realize this is going to be good. So curious to see what happens. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Follow for more on things you love on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Are you excited for Texas Chainsaw Massacre directed by Curry Barker? Or are you just like, no. I don't need no more Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Put it to rest. Comment below. There's no right or wrong opinion. Make sure you follow us wherever you can. I'll see you all next time. Stay safe. Stay positive.